Hey guys, Nick the Hitch Guy. Today I want to take a few minutes to talk about chucking. One of the things that I do while I'm out and about, I go to a lot of the RV rallies and discuss hitching problems that people are having. Something that I consistently run into out there is customers who are having chucking issues or a lot of banging when they're starting and stopping. While there's some great pin boxes out there that help resolve or cushion that ride between the truck and the trailer, where you really want to start and begin is looking at your fifth wheel hitch and making sure everything is nice and snug and tight. Now there's a few things you can do to look at this, but the way I like to do it is just hop in the bed of the truck and start shaking things and feeling for any looseness. So what I'll do here with the SuperGlide is grab onto the sides of it and give it a little shake front to back and try to find where that movement's coming from. You know, we're getting a little chucking with this and you can see that there's, some movement here. So I want to show you some adjustments that can be done on the SuperGlide. But I also want to show you another area for potential adjustment, and that's between the hitch and these industry standard base rails. You see these base rails, they do offer a good connection between your fifth wheel hitch and your truck, but they leave a little bit to be desired. It's a one size fits all system, so the Polaroid brand is going to work with every other brand out there on the market. And what that does is it creates we have to build enough tolerance to fit everybody's hitch as they do with ours. So it creates a little bit of looseness between the hitch and the rail system. So that is, in a lot of cases, something that can create some chucking, is a loose connection between your hitch and the base rails. So the way to check that is to physically lift the hitch up and down and see how snug it is onto those base rails. So when I do that here, we can see that there's not much movement there. There's only a little bit of movement, but it's associated with quite the noise. So let's talk about some of the areas we can tighten up and adjust on the SuperGlide. There's some other videos on the SuperGlide that talk about the maintenance. We're just going to go through and adjust some areas that might need to be tightened up. So first I'm going to take the hitch plate off. Now the Polaroid hitch plate is tested and designed on kingpins. It's designed with about 30 thousandths of an inch clearance. So that should make a fairly tight connection on your kingpin. In some cases, if the kingpin is slightly undersized, you might have a little bit of movement there. Typically, that doesn't result in a whole lot of a chucking noise, but it is something to look at. The first part to look at on the SuperGlide is going to be your rocker arm. This should be nice and tight. This one's actually a little loose. This pivot bolt should be greased annually, but right now we're just going to tighten this down to where it should be, to where it'll hold everything snug. So on this particular hitch, we're just going to tighten it up to where this hitch or this rocker has some good resistance, so there's no movement right there. Now, as we've taken this apart a little further, we can see that there's almost a rocking motion that's happening right here. The reason why is this piece has some clearance around these tubes, and we need to lock any front to back movement out. That way that doesn't turn into a rocking motion. In order to do that, we just tighten up the forward stop on this side. So if you come around to this side of the hitch, what I'll do is turn it and slide it back, and here's that forward stop adjustment. All we need is a 15/16 wrench. Basically loosen the jam nut and tighten in the threaded stop. What we're feeling for here is for it to lock in and be difficult to rotate, into that centered position, but we still want it to be difficult. So tight, but not too tight. Right there, we're getting some good resistance. We'll go just a little bit more, and right there. And I can barely get it in and out, and it's really snug. So now I just need to tighten down the jam nut. Now we'll check it one more time. See how it's real snug to get in there. Now that's nice and tight. So now when I grab the hitch and I feel for any movement, now we just have a little bit of movement right here between the hitch and the base rail. Now, what we manufacture, Polaroid manufactures, is a part number 2710. It's actually a base rail shim. These can be gotten by calling PullRight, our customer service department. They can get these parts sent out to you guys. They're relatively inexpensive. What they're doing is, or what you're going to do is put it on top of this little rectangle in the bed of your truck. So right underneath your hitch is a matching rectangle just like this. This piece sits right there, and all we're doing is taking up a little bit of the space here. That way the hitch can't lift up and down anymore. So I'll go ahead and do that on the front side. Easiest way to do it on the front is to rotate the hitch back. That's going to put all the weight towards the back. Then once we have that weight towards the back, we can pull these front pins and clips out. Now when you get that kit, that 2710, there'll be two different thicknesses of shims. You want to use the thickest ones possible. In many cases though, you'll just be using the thin ones. So we'll try the thin ones. I know the thin ones will be what we need here. So you can either line it up on the square, or you can try to fit it over the spade on the bottom of the hitch, but I just try to line it up with the rectangle that's there. And then the hitch just drops right back in. Then we put our pins and clips back on. Now if this is properly taken some of that slop out, you might notice that the pins are going to be tougher to get back in. That's a good thing. Now if you put the big shim in and you can't get that pin through, or you have to tap it in with a hammer, you might want to try the thinner one before driving that through. So now that the front's shimmed, we'll lift up and down on it. And you can see there's a little tiny bit of movement, but there's a lot less. Now all we have to do is slide the hitch back into the forward position here, lock it in, and I'll put the hitch head back on. Now, if you remember initially, there was a lot of movement when I was shaking this hitch, and now it's a lot quieter, more of a, you can tell it's firmly locked into the bed of the truck. So if you're getting some chucking, always check out your hitch, make sure that those few things are adjusted nice and snug, and you'll notice a lot tighter of a connection going down the road. Also, if you need those shims for the base rails between the rail and the bottom of the hitch, it's part number 2710, and you can purchase those through PullRight customer service. Their phone number is 1-800-443-2307. Again, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll be happy to put some more videos up if you guys have any specific questions for me.